Do you ever feel like you've got this low level frustration just simmering under the surface? Like you're one small push away from snapping and you don't even know why. Or maybe you're on the other side, not even angry anymore, just like flat and numb. Like nothing really touches you the way that it used to. If that's you, I want you to stick with me here because I'm about to unpack something most men live with every single day, but almost no one talks about. Hey man, I'm Kyle. I'm a certified master NLP practitioner and a certified master success coach for men who are tired of performing and ready to live in their truth. And just for you watching this today, I have linked free resources for you in the description. So check them out. So what we're going to talk about today, it's not a motivational speech and it's not, that man up advice. It's a trifecta. Three states that trap you in a vicious cycle that you don't even realize you're in. And these will eat at your relationships, your drive, and your confidence from the inside out if you don't make a lasting change and break them. It's really a hard truth about why so many men feel stuck, disconnected, or emotionally shut down, and how these three states, anger, shame, and numbness, really kind of feed off of each other in a loop that you just can't escape until you see it for what it is. Now, I'm going to uncover for you 5 steps that you must take in order to see that there's really opportunity in those challenges. So let's get into it. So let's start off with anger, right? So for most men, anger becomes the safe emotion. Why? Because we're taught that it's more acceptable for a man to be angry than to be hurt. Growing up, if you cried, someone told you to stop. If you showed fear, you were told to toughen up. If you felt rejected, you were told to get over it. But anger looked strong. It looked in control. It looked it looked masculine. So little by little, you learned to take every hurt, every fear, every disappointment, and push it through that anger filter in your unconscious mind. You stopped saying I'm hurt and you started saying I'm fine. Really while your jaw got tighter and your chest felt heavier. But here's the thing though, anger actually isn't strength. It's a cover and it's really a mask, right? And if the only emotion you allow yourself to feel, it'll burn everything down in your life to the ground. And this really does this from that inside out, because unexpressed anger eventually turns into resentment. And resentment really poisons connection, with your partner, with your kids, and really especially with yourself. So let's talk about shame. And listen carefully here because shame is the fuel that really just keeps this whole thing running, right? Shame is different from guilt. Okay. Guilt says, I did something wrong. Shame says, I am something wrong. Guilt is the response to doing, and shame is the response of just being. Shame tells you that you're not enough, not strong enough, not successful enough, not attractive enough, um, not good enough, right? Not really, not any not enough belief that you want to plug in there. Shame usually comes from old limiting beliefs that you have about yourself and really who you are. Now, let me tell you something about beliefs. A belief at its core is just a story that you've told yourself just over and over again until you believed it to be true. It it doesn't matter if it's actually not true. The fact that you believe it to be true makes it true. And changing those beliefs, That's where, that's really where I love to help my fellow brothers. The look on their face, right, when they realize that they have been the ones holding on and really, holding themselves back is really priceless. So so getting back to shame, it's not always loud. Sometimes it's just this quiet, constant background noise in your life, like static that you've gotten used to. You don't even notice it's there anymore. And here's where it gets dangerous though. Shame often hides behind your anger. You blow up at something small because deep down you feel inadequate, and it's just easier to project that outward than it is to sit with it, right? And shame also drives you into numbness, which is really the third piece of this trifecta. When you've lived long enough cycling between anger and shame, something eventually happens where you stop feeling, much of anything. You just go numb. And numbness might feel safe at first. There's no more highs, no more lows, no more pain, no more overthinking. But the truth is numbness doesn't protect you. It it buries you alive. Because when you go numb, you don't just cut out the bad, you you also cut out the good too. You cut out, joy, love, excitement, desire, passion. It's just all gone, right? You start you start existing instead of living. You show up physically, but you're not there. And your woman feels it, your kids feel it, your friends feel it. And this is where most men stay. Not, not because they don't want to, but because they don't even realize they're in it. So here's how this cycle works. And here's the thing most men, even you, probably don't realize. The trifecta of anger, shame, and numbness, it isn't just random. It's a system. It's a feedback loop. And really, once you're in it, it runs your life without you even knowing it. So let me walk you through how this actually works. So it starts with shame. Okay. Maybe you didn't hit a goal. Maybe you're struggling in your relationship. Maybe you look around and feel like other men are further ahead than you. Or maybe it's not even about something specific. Maybe it's that quiet, gnawing sense that no matter what you do, it's never enough. That's shame, and it's brutal because shame just doesn't tell you you made a mistake. It tells you that you are the mistake. It's not I messed up at work. It's I'm incompetent. It's not I forgot something important. It's you know, I'm unreliable. Now here's here's the part that nobody talks about. Most men will do anything to avoid the feeling, of shame directly. So what happens? You flip it into anger. You know, and really it's because anger feels strong. Shame feels, inward. It makes you feel small, exposed and defective. Anger anger lets you push back. It lets you project that discomfort outward. But here's the problem that anger doesn't resolve. You know, it doesn't resolve the shame. It just covers it up. And and worse, really, anger has a way of spilling out. You get short with your partner. You get irritable with the kids. You may blow up over small things because your nervous system is already overloaded. And guess what that does? It pushes people away more. It makes you harder to be around. People, they stop opening up to you. They start, really keeping their distance from you, which you guessed it, that just deepens the shame because now you're not just not enough. Now you're too much. Now it's not just that you feel unworthy, but you have proof. You have evidence because people are pulling back. And really when that cycle has run, long enough, when you've had enough shame and enough anger, your system eventually hits that numbness. This is where you check out emotionally. You stop you stop letting yourself feel anything really because feeling hurts too much. You're not crying, you're not raging, but you're also not even celebrating much. You're just, existing. You smile when you're supposed to. You laugh at the right moments, you nod in the right conversations, but there's no weight behind it. And here's another dangerous part too, right? Once numbness sets in, it gets comfortable. It feels safe. There's no more volatility, no more ups and downs. But that comfort is a coffin. It keeps you from actually living, from connecting, from growing. And this is really how men end up years down the road waking up in the same house, in the same routine, with the same people, but feeling like strangers in their own life. They can't really put their finger on it, like when did this actually happen? Like they consciously don't know when they chose this, but unconsciously they know. And usually this pattern, this belief, this loop started before they were 7 years old. It started in the imprint period of their life. And then one day they wake up and realize nothing feels real anymore. Maybe that's you. I know that it was me before I started this work, right? 100% that was me. But see, if you don't see the loop for what it is, you'll just think that, this is just life. You'll normalize it. You'll think you're supposed to feel this way after a certain age, after certain losses, after, certain responsibilities. But that's a lie. It's not life, it's a cycle. And like any cycle, you can break it. If you're interested, right? If you're interested for making a change for something better, and only if you're willing to stop running from the root of what's actually causing it, but find it, name it, and dig it out. So ask yourself, is my garden full of weeds to the point that my flowers of my life are suffocated down and being strangled to the point that they can't flourish and are really on the brink of dying? Yeah, I've been there. And I refused to stay there. You have the power within you to choose something else also. I'm going to help you start this right now. So this is how you can break, this cycle, right? So here's the first thing you need to understand. Breaking this cycle isn't about erasing anger, shame, or numbness. If you try to, like get rid of them, you'll just end up in another version of the same trap. It's not it's not about cutting them out. It's about learning their language because these really aren't just random feelings. They're signals. These are symptoms. They're messengers carrying the parts of you that you've been avoiding for years. The problem is most men never learned how to listen. We were taught, and trained to either lash out or shut down, to either rage or go silent, to to really either, overcompensate or just disappear. So here's where we start. The first thing is to stop treating anger like the enemy. Anger isn't the challenge. It's a compass. It's pointing to something that matters to you. Maybe it's showing you where you've been tolerating disrespect. Maybe it's telling you a value of yours is being stepped on. But here's really what most men do. They either let anger own them or they bury it so you know, it just kind of rots. Neither one of these works. The skill is to pause and ask yourself, what is under this? Because 9 out of 10 times underneath that anger is hurt, grief, disappointment, or even the ache of not being seen. If you don't learn to translate it, you'll keep firing off at the wrong targets. Your partner, your kids, your coworkers, or even some random person driving down the road, while really the real issue stays untouched. The second thing is to call shame out by name. So shame is like think of shame like mold, right? It grows best in the dark. If you keep it silent, if you keep it hidden, it festers until it rewires the way that you see yourself. The moment you speak it out loud, even even if it's just to yourself, you know, or maybe you speak it out to a trusted brother or even a coach like me, it starts to lose it starts to lose its oxygen. It stops running your life from the shadows. But here's the thing. Calling shame out, man, let me tell you, that is that is very uncomfortable. And it's uncomfortable as hell. That's why that's why most men won't do it. They won't do it on their own. They need someone who can hold the space without judgment, who can hear the worst and still hold them at their best. That's where that's where real change happens. The third part is to wake yourself up from numbness. Numbness isn't a personality, it's a habit. It's something you've trained into your nervous system so you don't have to feel. The problem is though, when you numb the pain, you really, you numb everything else with it. You can't just selectively, just like shut off different emotions. That's not that's not how our brains work, right? I wish it did, but it's not. You end up losing joy, your desire, your hunger for life. The way out isn't to force yourself to feel positive. It's to give yourself moments where your body has no choice but to wake up. Take the cold shower, do the workout, breathe so deep you feel your ribs expand. Have those vulnerable conversations and get the energy off of it. Put yourself in environments that demand presence. Little by little, you'll start remembering what alive actually feels like. The fourth opportunity is for you to regulate before you react. So if your nervous system is always in fight or flight, you'll never lead. You'll just, manage chaos and you'll confuse, reactivity with strength. Stillness is your training ground, and I've spoken about this before. Just take 5 minutes a day. Put your back straight, breathe slow. Let your body learn what calm actually feels like without needing to fix or perform. Because when you can regulate yourself, you stop matching the chaos around you. You start leading it. And that shift, that's what makes people, especially the feminine, really start trusting in you again. Hey,
And
just a brief interruption from your video to tell you about a fantastic opportunity. Do you ever feel like you're doing the work, but nothing's actually shifting? Like you're journaling, meditating, watching all the videos, but still circling the same patterns. It's not because you're broken. It's because the shift doesn't happen in isolation. You don't need more information. You need activation. The Inner Shift Society is the space where that happens. 2 1-hour calls a month, live on the second and fourth Tuesday. One call to learn and one call to coach. For just $17 a month, you're not just joining a group, you're stepping into momentum. We get into real work. This is belief rewiring. This is about nervous system work, decision making, identity, and ownership. Now, this would normally cost you $500 for 2 hours with me. I'm not going to make you pay $500 though. I am offering this because I want to help and reach more people that know there is something more. People like you, and you just don't know where to start. This this is your entry point. You're one shift away from who you've been trying to become. This is your space to make it real. Come join other like-minded people much like yourself. Click the link in the description and join us inside the Inner Shift Society. And now, back to our video. And and the final piece is to reconnect with purpose. Without purpose, all this work feels like grinding gears when you're trying to go. Purpose gives you weight, to your choices. It gives you a reason to sit in the discomfort instead of dodging it. When you know why you're here and who you're becoming, you stop running from yourself. And here's the quiet part that no one tells you. Purpose just doesn't, appear one day. It's uncovered. It's built. It's refined with the right guidance and the right opportunities. So most men will hear this, list and think, yeah, I could probably do that on my own. And maybe you could for a while. But here's the truth I've seen in myself and in every man I've worked with. You don't break a cycle this deep in isolation because isolation is part of the cycle. The breakthrough happens when you stop trying to really like white knuckle it alone and start walking with someone who's already walked this same path. Because if you really want that change for yourself and for your loved ones, you you have to go through the shit, right? And going through this with someone who knows where the traps are, it's only going to get you there faster. You'll spend less time getting through it and more time, really living on the other side of it. Okay? So you can't think your way out of this loop. You can't. You have to retrain your way out of it. And the training starts the second you decide you're done living inside your trifecta. Listen, if you see yourself in any part of this, the anger, the shame, the numbness, that doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human. It means you've been surviving the best way you know how with the resources that you have. But survival is not the goal, at least not anymore. Living is. Leading is the goal. Loving is the ultimate goal. And you can't do any of those things fully if you're stuck in this cycle. The good news is that you can break it. You can feel again without losing control. You can lead without burning out. You can stand in a life as a man who's not only defined by his wounds, but by how he is healed from them. So if this landed with you, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and share with a fellow brother who might need to hear this. Don't forget, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you're notified whenever I release a new video. I also have free resources below that will help you start rebuilding from the inside out. Tools that work, built for men just like you. So hit subscribe for yourself, grab the tools, and reach out. Give me a follow too on social media. Links are in the description. Remember, You're not broken, you're becoming. I'll see you on the next video. Stay strong, brother.